Diablo 4 exactly year later, so the full year passed since that vanilla version of Diablo 4, and this would be my impressions of the game as well as the full feedback and everything I think about the game basically so far. Let's not waste time, let's go. So, most of the people already know that I absolutely hated Diablo 4 Vanilla and I considered it a crappy mobile-like MMO and then action RPG. What changed in a year from now? Basically, everything that I was complaining on was changed. You can zoom out camera further now, considering it's season 4 already and a year passed. Also, all the traders are now close by, so you don't need to run around a map like an idiot. Everything is kinda closer than it used to be. The game spares your time, or better to say, the game values your time, or it was one of the biggest complaints I had on the game. All of that is fixed. Now it's not only that, everything else is changed, especially itemization and endgame content. In other words, Helltide is now better, okay? It provides more content, better loot, loot goes faster, you acquire better loot way much faster, experience gain is way much faster, the game is less of a slug and more fun. Everything goes, like I said, including the itemization. Now you can temper items, get new imprints, there's a variety of different builds. It is a much better game than Diablo 4 Vanilla. How I consider Diablo 4 right now. Diablo 4 Vanilla was in early beta. Then, when Season 1 started, it was early alpha. Now the game is in a state of a pre-release, because I truly believe that this game can be way much better than it actually is right now. This is a solid game right now, it has good foundations, but it still lacks a lot. How I would rate it right now, from below mediocre to solid. This game right now is close to 7.5 out of 10. It's really fun, but there is just not enough content. And that's the main issue right now with Diablo 4. We're gonna do the full feedback, and I'll speak about every single segment of the game, and what I think of it, what should be done, and what are the good changes that I expect to happen in a game. The thing I was doing out the most during this season would be Helltide. Helltide happens non-stop, 24/7, and this is by far the best way to acquire gear and have fun. Is there any problem with Helltide? No, but it could be better. It could have a unique Uber boss, tormented boss. That's what Helltide needs right now. And probably a bit more content and a bit more variety on top of everything it has, and then Helltide is perfect. What I believe right now for the Helltide, it should remain like it is, only with additional tormented boss. Every Helltide should have a tormented boss, and that's about it. Everything else I loved about Helltide, the Blood Maiden, the quests, how you acquire loot, how you converse with all of those chests, how you acquire cinders to open chests. You can easily open up every single chest on a map now, and it's very fast and it's very fluid. Helltide is actually the biggest highlight of Season 4, and for sure it's like 10 times better right now than it used to be a year ago in Vanilla, or should I say in early beta. What lost purpose because of Helltide are these classic bounties like from Diablo 3. Sellers and doing different stuff to collect the favors for the Trio Whispers. And the Trio Whispers is way too slow unless you do something like the Blood Maiden or the dungeons, okay, Nightmare Dungeons. All of that is basically connected. Nightmare Dungeons, Blood Maiden, PvP, and so on. So your point is to collect the favor, go to the tree, get a cache that usually gives nothing, but it gives gold, and you need gold for crafting now. So everything is connected. How it can be better? That's the question right now. Blizzard is lazy, and it's very simple how it can get better. I think for the season 4 that I smell new devs in Blizzard. It's not those old shitty devs from Diablo 4. I can really smell some new devs in this company, and I believe they are slightly better than those idiots before them. So, what is happening right now? Considering that Diablo 3 is Blizzard's game, they should just copy everything. Okay, in this season, they also implemented the pit, or better to say, I don't even know why they changed the name, it's Greater Refs. Okay, where you go deeper and deeper and it gets harder and harder and better rewards. It's to test your might, test your will, see how strong you are. Later about it. What they need to do is to copy every single segment from Diablo 3. And Diablo 3 had some great segment that's called, I think it was called Altar. So, in Diablo 3 we had something that was the Altar. Something that Diablo 4 needs. It really needs it. And why does it need the Altar? It needs the Altar because of one very simple reason. With Altar, you have more things to do, more things to collect, more things to immerse the player, and more things to do and ramp up more time. And when you're doing Altar, you are basically unlocking things so it goes faster. And Diablo 4 needs something like Altar in Diablo 3 to reduce these stupid ass penalties for the bounties so they can go faster, and instead of collecting one cache in like 5 or 10 minutes, now you get 3 because you implement something that Altar is. I really hope they're gonna make that change. Also, because it's their game, for some reason, okay, I really dislike this user interface and how items look like. I truly believe that Diablo 3 looked better. I mean, also, lack of belt, lack of shoulders. Okay, that's also a huge difference right now. Lack of sets. This game needs belt over here, shoulders over here, and sets. It needs sets. That's all the content that the game needs. Also, it needs all of those Uber buses from Diablo 3 back in Diablo 4. Now, when you pile up all of that in Diablo 4, then we're speaking about 8 out of 10 game. Right now, I have a feeling like I have more content in Diablo 3 than in Diablo 4. Now I know someone will say, but Diablo 3 is like over 10 years old and they had time. There is no excuse, man. It's 2024. They have to compete with Path of Exile. They have to compete with Grim Dawn, with I don't know, with Diablo 3 and Diablo 4 has no excuse to have less content than Diablo 3. Also, same mistakes happened. Like exactly the history repeated. Everything that was a mess of Diablo 3, now it's a mess out of Diablo 4, and now they're gonna fix the mess to make a good game, and I'll grow gray and bold probably until Diablo 4 becomes what Diablo 3 is today. So it needs to develop faster. To develop faster, they need to put more devs on a game and create more content. Speaking about content, I don't know from where to start right now. The game has Uber buses. They had nothing a year ago in vanilla, and we had Lilith. Okay. And now Lilith is the main boss of the game. Still, she is the main Uber boss of the game over here, but they added Duriel, they added Andariel, all of these dungeons with skulls. Classic versions and tormented versions, or should I call them Uber versions. They have Grigor, they got Zir, and they got Varshan. So that's like only 5 Uber bosses for a year. It should be 25, Blizzard, not 5, 25. Now, speaking about those Uber buses, they require materials, okay? Different materials to spawn. Shekels, dolls, anger, blood vials, living steel, and whatnot. They require different materials to spawn, and Stygian stones that almost never drop. I played bunch of pits, and there is a probability for Stygian stones to drop in a pit over here. And on every like 10 greater pits, and I'm not speaking about greater pits low tier, I'm speaking about tier 100 plus. I was playing on a tier 100 plus, which is huge, okay, in majority of time. On like 5 to 10 pits, they take 5 to 10 minutes to finish. You get one stupid Stygian stone to summon a boss, tormented boss, and you need to play 5 to 10 to spawn one, and then you need extra materials on top of all of it, and it takes freaking forever to summon a tormented boss for 2% chance to drop an Uber unique. Now all of this is connected. How it's connected? Those bosses, tormented bosses on a map, they have a chance to drop Uber unique, better chance than anywhere else. Yeah. And we got a major problem in the game right now because all Uber uniques are the same. They always roll the same, and every single build in this game right now uses a crest. Every single build in a game, from a necromancer to barbarian to sorc to I don't know what, they all use the same helmet. That's a huge freaking problem, Blizzard. You got only 7 or 8 Uber uniques. Everyone is using the same Uber uniques for the build, which means that every single build from every other player in a week or 2 weeks or 3 weeks from now will look exactly the same. There is no build variety. Every build can be played in like 5 or 6 different ways. For example, barbarian, you can play whirlwind with dust devils, you can play bash, you can play thorns, you can play I don't know what, hammer of the ancients, upheaval, leap. But at the end, all of those builds, 5, 6, 7 different builds, will end up with a crest, and they're gonna look the same. That is the huge problem with the game. There's only 7 or 8 Uber uniques. There's like the crest, there's armor, ethereal might. In my chest I think I got some more. I got... oh, there is that amulet for resource. I forgot the name. There is the ring of stars. And by the way, there is this new upcoming item that dropped. That's a hilarious bug, Blizzard, that this item even dropped to me. That's item for season 5. Probably it should have never dropped, but it dropped in the pit. You're crazy, completely crazy. So, as far as items go, there's the grandfather, and there is the ring of starless skies, and I think 2 more Uber uniques, and that's everything that can drop in the game. The game lacks item variety. It lacks sets. It lacks more Uber uniques. So Shaco, or better to say the crest, falls off in power when there's like 25 or 30 Uber uniques. It falls off, and builds look different from player to player. Especially when you add sets, then they definitely gonna look different from player to player. Yeah, the game basically lacks itemization. Every other item is the same. I don't even need to look at the item right now. With the introduction of this new season, there are these new legendaries with a star. It can roll with 1 star, it can roll with 2 stars, okay, and those are stats higher than usual. And now what I do, I just melt every single legendary item if it doesn't have a star. So legendary items are completely useless right now. They have to be ancestral and with a star. That's also a big problem. How you resolve a problem? By adding more Uber uniques, by adding bigger drop rates, and by adding sets, belts, and shoulders. That's a must. This game will never get better if you do not add belt, shoulders, and sets. very simple to understand. Uber uniques, those 7-8, they need to fall off in power, and you need to add build variety in a game. Very simple to understand. Stats are misleading. You cannot check the exact numbers. You cannot check the exact damage. You cannot check the multipliers. This needs more clearance, more calculations. This game needs a calculator, so you can actually tell what's better, overpower or lucky hit. You know, not to go out and test in a dungeon whether it's better to have higher crit chance or a critical damage. What this game needs is a calculator. Now, aside from that, I don't know how good the idea is to temper items, or better to say there is tempering on items, masterworking on items right now, and there is changing of a specific stat here. Or better to say enchanting. I don't know how good the idea behind this is, cause quite literally, when you find an item and it has a stat, okay, a passive, when you cast a skill it does something, there is no point of that item because you can always switch to whatever aspect you like, you imprint, and the item, legendary item, becomes the item that you want on your build. Maybe, just maybe, the solution behind this would be very simple. If the highest imprint is, for example, in this case, 7 damage reduction, if you find this item and it has its own stats, it should be 8 to 10. And when you imprint, then it should be lower. So this is how you resolve the problem. So items don't look the same. Items that you find along the way should always have more powerful imprints, or better to say aspects, than the ones you craft. Right now, they're exactly the same. Or in other words, it's better to imprint than to use item with its roll, because imprints, once you collect enough of them, will always roll the highest. They should not roll the highest, they should always roll 5, 10, 20% below, so game starts to value items that you find along the way. That's how you resolve legendary items. Okay, as far as enchanting goes, it's great. I don't have a single complaint about enchanting. You basically put an item, you enchant, you roll for the higher stat, you can keep the old one or get a new one for the gold price. That's perfect as it is, like in Diablo 3. Now, they added in this season something that's called tempering and masterworking. With tempering, you add bonus stats, which is great, okay, but you can also ruin item, RNG. Basically, it depends whether you're lucky or not. I destroyed like 50 items. Easily. 50 great items during this season. I destroyed them, and I play with shittier items with better tempering, because I destroyed better items with worse tempering. I don't know how they're gonna resolve this and how they're gonna address this, but it's really irritating. I destroyed like 3-star weapons, and I'm using with 1-star now. And it's not like it's my fault, it's RNG. And I'm not the only one, I guess there's millions with the same problem. Now, it shouldn't be easy, I'm not saying that, but maybe it should have, you know, something like a retemper, where you can use something valuable, like a spark, to temper again. Maybe that's the solution. Use the spark to temper again, so you don't destroy an item out of 3 stars. They are very rare, okay? Maybe I've seen 5 or 10 since the season started with 3 stars. And imagine how painful it is when you destroy an item with tempering. Something like retemper with a spark should happen in a game, so we can temper again for a huge price, of course. That would be the solution. As far as masterworking goes, this is very simple. The higher you go, you should receive more, and you receive very little. For example, if I'm on a tier 100, I should receive 100 of these, not 55. So the difference between 80 and 100 is minimal. It should be huge. Players that play above 100, like 110 or so, they should receive 150, so you can masterwork faster. because masterworking is a pain in the ass that requires 2 or 3 days of playing pit after pit after pit till masterwork all on 12 out of 12. I know, because I masterworked every single item on 12 out of 12 before the patch where they reduced prices by 75% in gold, but still materials are not reduced. You need to get more materials in a pit so you can advance faster, especially for higher tiers. That has to be addressed, because it's a slug. I would never do it again, ever. All of those pits to level up additional 12 items on 12 out of 12. That's really like, I would rather shut myself. As far as the pit goes, or better to say greater refs, bosses are repeating way too much. There's way too little bosses, maps are repeating, and bosses are repeating way too much. Too little bosses, you need at least 10 more unique bosses. Also, you're lazy. Same bosses from the nightmare dungeons are in the pits. Pits should have different bosses from the nightmare dungeons, so you can have some enemy variety. Goddammit, you're using the same bosses. Okay. That is not supposed to happen. Also, that sharpshooter, Trapper, is OP compared to all other bosses in the pit. He needs a nerf. No matter what tier you are, he's OP. Lilith spams on higher tiers. She should not spam as often. I don't care what it is, buff the boss, nerf Lilith as the ghost. One of the biggest complaints I also have is the herbs. Herbs that you need to craft elixirs and incense. I never have herbs, because when you click on those herbs during the world events and so on, you get 60 to 10. That's way too low. There is no way to acquire herbs outside of doing shitty side quests. And I hate doing side quests. This game should give you some herbs, man, to craft those elixirs and incense. Come on. Increase drops for herbs. What on earth is this? Speaking about the drops, now we're gonna go to the world boss that never drops anything at all, which is completely useless mechanic, and the whole world bosses, they easily feel weaker than a minion on pit tier 50. What is the point of the world boss, something you call a world boss, if we can get one-shotted the moment it spawns? World bosses are probably the most hilarious thing in a game right now. How do you fix everything? Herbs, minions, bosses, and whatnot. Fix is very simple. Here in Kyovashad, where you get to pick the tier, the world you're playing on, Torment, it's the 4th tier. Add 5th, 6th, 7th tier. So when I scale up, and now I'm way too strong for 100, let me raise the entire map on 200. Let the entire world map be level 200. Like I'm playing, I don't know, tier 100 pit. That's how you do it. It's very simple, and increase the drops. Also, how you lock Paragon on 225. Okay, 225 points. Why would you lock Paragon now? You don't have a reason to lock Paragon anymore. Or lock it on 500. Because now you have pets. The ultimate challenge. Give people something to play. Why it's important to play? For example, I've been level 100, 225 points in Paragon for ages now. And it kind of feels lame because you don't get XP anymore. How do you keep the players? By giving them something, okay? No matter how long it takes to level up, even if it takes an entire day to level up again, give an option for that extra Paragon node. So we can finish the game with 500 Paragon points. And you can easily do it because now people can push for the pet. There is no reason to lock Paragon points anymore. World map needs at least 10 more tormented bosses for enemy variety. Nightmare dungeons are completely useless Aside from the sigils, once you level up sigils, there is no reason to enter a single nightmare dungeon. You need to do some rework on nightmare dungeons. They are really bad. Add more modifiers, more challenge, add something, man, some content to nightmare dungeons, because they suck. It is probably the worst content in the game right now. So, as I said, there's a lot of problems with Diablo 4. It is fun. Don't get me wrong. It's a solid 7 out of 10 game right now. It doesn't suck anymore. But it has a lot of room for improvement. It's far from a perfect version that I expected. Everything that I expected of the game is what the game is right now, plus 30% more. Better to say everything that I said. Belts, items, drop rates, higher level, more mobs, more uber bosses, I don't know what, like 70% to 100% more content is what I expected out of the game a year ago when it came out. Something like the altar from Diablo 3 as well. All of that I expected a year ago. Now the game is in open beta. I really hope that they're gonna implement everything that I said. I like the game right now, but it's worth like a few days of game time and not above that anymore. It completely sucked. It was a mobile crap a year ago, so this is a huge improvement of the game. Like, really a huge improvement, and I mean it. So good job there. But still, it lacks a lot of work. I believe it can be 10 times better than it is right now if they focus on implement content. Also, when you add seasons, next season, and the DLC and whatnot, add more endgame content. Like, you have Path of Exile, for example. You've seen how good the seasons were, for example, Haste, then the Ritual, then Expedition, then I don't know how many different stuff to do, man. There's like 30 different things that you can do in endgame content. Diablo 4 has like 3 different things to do in the endgame content. Pets, Helltide, and mini crap when combined together. Okay, Bounties, Trio Whispers, World Boss, and many things. When you combine them, we can say that's 3 things to do in the end game. You need at least 10 things, man. At least 10 things, so people keep playing different stuff non-stop. Boss variety also. Don't mix bosses from nightmare dungeons into pets. Don't be lazy. World bosses, what is that? They're a joke. All of that needs a rework. The game was such a big mess a year ago that even these changes right now are great. But goddamn it needs like drastic changes. What you see right now, it has to be 300% better. It's a good foundation, but I really expect more. It would be a sad thing to see this game in this state. I would love to see a better version of Diablo 4 because it has potential. But right now, that's all that it has, a potential. That would be my rant about Diablo 4 and what I think about the game. I believe it's worth playing for a few days. I believe it's fun, and I also believe it lacks content. Your choice whether you wanna play it now or not. This is not a game that sucks ass anymore, it's ground solid. This is the first time when I can recommend to people to try and play Diablo 4. Looking at map right now, also I forgot about Legion, it's also useless. Rework Legion. I forgot that it exists, how useless it is. Anyways, if you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like, share and subscribe, and I'll be seeing you on the next one. Thanks for watching.